What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 Experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso. Guys, the man that you are looking at your screen right here, if you are not familiar with him, is the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu. Yes, this is the man who almost set the whole Western region in Africa on fire after he almost sent his Nigerian military to go there and invade Niger after the military coup that took place recently. I mean, guys, in Western Africa right now, things are not really good. As we see, a lot of countries right now, they are being occupied by these military coups. But the reason for that is that most of these generals, they believe that the presidents that are being elected in their country, actually the president that are being selected in their country, are not there to actually represent the needs and not there to represent the people and actually making sure that the people's needs are fulfilled. So guys, today I want us to focus a bit on West Africa because I have a video here from my brother Zek Muekasa, who is going to explain it to us properly about what's been happening in West Africa.
So, a couple of days ago, we spoke about Niger. We spoke a lot about Niger lately, and I think it's very necessary that I let you know what's happening currently in Niger. For context, for those of us who don't know, Niger's president has been toppled, Mohamed Bazoum, by a group of military forces. They felt that Mohamed Bazoum was not assuming his role appropriately. He was not fighting for the rule of the people. He was rather working for Western governments, stealing and looting the country. You know how most African presidents act. So the military force in Niger decided to topple him and take power within their own hands. Niger also has been crippled by a lot of terrorists and many.
And guys, this military coup that took place in Niger is going to inspire a lot of countries, especially in Africa, to take matters in their own hands, because they believe that most of these presidents that have been selected for their countries, they are not actually representing the people. We can see that even countries like Chad, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Mali are already under the military rule right now, and Niger will also add to that. So there's a wave that has been happening right now in Western Africa where the military coups are actually taking over the countries and toppling these presidents.
Forces, so the army was tired. They had enough of it because the president apparently said, we think that the bad people have more weapons and more guns than us, and that's really discouraged a lot of the army people. Obviously, you don't say such thing. You can't say that our opponents are stronger than us. You discourage everybody. Anyway, so we know the president of Nigeria has been pushing through Ecowas to have a force going to Niger to topple the people that are in power, basically to remove the people in power and put back Mohamed Bazoum, who's the ex-president. So
the fact that the Nigerian president is more interested in the matters that are happening in Niger than what's been happening in Nigeria is one thing that really baffled a lot of people. Because this man that you are seeing right here, the president of Nigeria, he almost sent the military to go there and invade Niger. But at the same time, this is the country that Nigeria is sharing one of its largest borders with. So a lot of people who live near the border towns, a lot of representatives in Nigeria were really stunned by the fact that this man right here, Bola Tinubu, could put their lives, even the people's life, at risk just to protect the France interest and just to protect the American interest. So this president right here, if there's one thing that this whole thing that has been happening right now has proven, is that it showed that the president of Nigeria, he is compromised. He didn't even think twice about sending the military to go and fight his fellow men. I mean, like, guys, if you think about it, Niger is literally next door to Nigeria, but this guy, he didn't care the fact that they share over 1,000-mile border with Niger. He didn't care about the fact that there are people who live in border towns. He didn't care about it. There's a lot of Nigerian infrastructure that is there and that can be hit by rockets and by missiles, because even with Niger is not alone in all of this. after the military generals they took charge, they were threatened by Ecowas, they were threatened by Nigeria, they were threatened by France, they were threatened by the United States of Africa. But after the Russia and Africa summit, where we saw Vladimir Putin actually mingling and talking with the military juntas of this country, Vladimir Putin has actually told these people that he is going to be with them. Even right now, as we speak, in Niger, there is the presence of Wagner Group. The Wagner Group, the most famous Russian mercenaries, are stationed in Niger and to fight with Niger. Even the neighboring countries like Burkina Faso and Mali and Guinea have already said it, that if anyone attacks Niger, they wanna see it as an attack to all. So, and the Algerian president has said that he is not going to allow anyone to attack Niger. So Niger is not alone in all of this. So, which made me wonder, like, if the president of Nigeria was so bold to call for military intervention into Niger, whereas the Nigers are not only going to fight by themselves, they have Algeria, they have Mali, they have Burkina Faso, and they have all these other forces that are with them. Like, didn't this guy care about the safety of Nigerians, about the well-being of Nigerians? Because it seems like the guy couldn't wait to send his military generals in Niger, which was going to be the biggest mistake that Nigeria has ever made. But if there's one thing that I can say, is that the Nigerian president, he is compromised. He is compromised. Right now, Africa is not in a position where we can fight with each other. Africa, right now, we are in a position where we need to stand with each other. I mean, like, the people like the president of Nigeria cannot come out there and start saying things like, we want to restore the democracy that people want. I mean, that thing was debunked yesterday when the Niger military junta that took over the country went to the capital city of Niamey, where they filled up a stadium. Over 30,000 people went there to show their support to military junta. But the president of Nigeria wants to convince the people that the people in Niger are not happy with what's been happening. A lot of countries, I mean, like, if you see Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali and all these other countries that are under military rule, one thing that they really hate about these presidents that are selected is that these presidents are not representing the needs of the people. They are not representing the people. They don't care about whether the people are good or what, as long as their pockets are filled. This is why you see a lot of countries right now in Africa have been taken over by military coups. Even countries like France and the United States are being kicked out right now in Africa. But a man like this, the Nigerian president, guys, he is very dangerous. This guy is the most dangerous president in Africa right now. If this guy can simply go out there and send his military to his neighboring countries on the behest of France and America without even caring about the needs and the well-being of Nigerians, it really showed us that this guy is the most dangerous president in Africa. He is not for Africa, he is for the West. He doesn't care about the fact that the West were not even going to send their military personnel, because they knew that the Nigerian military was going to fight the fight on their behalf. So young Nigerian soldiers were going to lose their lives because of this guy on the behest of the West. You really have to think about that, guys. Guys like Bola Tinubu, these are the guys who are bringing Africa back to stone ages, because clearly they are against the agenda of Africa reforming itself.
Nigeria, with its president, has been pushing very hard. They even gathered force to try and get ready for this action. But you cannot declare war to a country without necessarily contacting Senate for that. Let's go quickly and understand. So Nigeria, Tinubu seeks Senate support for Ecowas intervention in Niger. The goal is to speak to Senate, let Senate say, okay, you can go to war, so you can go start a war. Tinubu is reportedly seeking support to intervene against the ruling military in Niger, where a coup removed the democratically elected government. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has written a letter to his country.
I mean, like, it makes no sense. I wonder why is Bola Tinubu so concerned about Niger when Nigeria is faced with so many problems. I mean, they still have Boko Harams, they still have these terrorists that are taking over the place. I mean, like Nigerians even right now, they were so angry with this guy because the first thing that the people were asking was like, don't you care about our well-being and money when it comes to financing this war? Who was going to finance this war? It was going to be Nigeria at the end of the day. So Nigerians were really mad about the fact that their living conditions are already bad as it is, but they have a president right here who really didn't care about that, who was ready to spend all the money on a military force on the behest of the West. So one of the things that the Senate, one of the reasons why the Senate actually rejected his proposal was the fact that there was no need for Nigeria to go into Niger. Nigeria was never going to benefit anything from going into Niger, so they don't see any reason why should Nigeria invade its neighboring country on the behest of the West, whereas the Nigerian citizens are the ones who are going to be in danger. But this guy didn't care, guys. He almost set the whole region on fire.
Senate asking its member to back a regional military intervention in the neighboring Niger, where a coup toppled the democratically elected government of Mohamed Bazoum last week. Local daily, The Cable, reported on Friday that Tinubu requested for military build-up and deployment of personnel for military intervention to enforce compliance of the military junta in Niger, should they remain recalcitrant. So, for those of us who don't understand, they said to the people in Niger, the new power, the new people ruling Niger, we are giving you 7 days to leave the country, 7 days to reinstate the ex-president, democratically elected, Mohamed Bazoum.
And 7 days, the 7 days, guys, it has elapsed, I think, yesterday on Sunday. So everyone is waiting to see what Nigeria is going to do and Ecowas is going to do, because they gave the Niger military junta only 7 days to vacate. But the Niger military junta said, guys, you are not going to do this. If anything, on Sunday, the same Sunday that the deadline was supposed to be on, that's when they filled up the whole stadium, showing everybody that we got the support of our people, so we are going to fight this fight.
Within 7 days, you do not do so, we're going to come and destroy. So basically, they're saying they're going to come into Niger, a free country, bring military and destroy, to teach everybody a lesson. They even said it is necessary that we enforce this because we need to show to the world that we're not just dogs that bark. We actually bite when it's necessary. So Ecowas...
It's funny for Nigeria to talk about like they are not the dogs who only bark but bite, whereas they are faced with so many problems. I mean, like, it doesn't like Nigeria have to focus on its resources to get rid of the terrorism that is taking place in the whole country, man. The whole country, man, like, Nigerians have been complaining about terrorists for years. They've been complaining about all these military juntas, all these things that have been taking place in Nigeria. They've been complaining about these things. But we didn't see such power from the president. I mean, like, this guy, he didn't even think twice before he invaded his neighboring country. He didn't care about the fact that Nigeria shares a border with this country. He didn't care about the fact that Niger had the support of Russia, of Wagner Group, of Algeria, of Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and other countries that haven't said anything right now. He didn't care about that. So he just wanted to conduct a military operation in Niger on behest of America and France, and by putting his people's life in danger in the process. This is why I say this man, he has to be the most dangerous and most compromised president in Africa. He has to be. He has to be. This guy didn't think twice about fighting his fellow brothers. There are many Nigerians who are living in Niger right now. There are many Nigerians who are living in Nigeria right now. And if you have followed this story properly, you can see that the people of Niger, they are really rallying behind their military junta. I mean, like, even if you can see what took place even in Burkina Faso, if you remember the young leader of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, after he met with Vladimir Putin, when he came back home, they gave him the hero's welcome. Thousands of people were there at the airport. He was riding his car in the middle of the people, bruh. He was working with his people. The people support him. So I don't understand why would someone who lives in the other country can tell your people that the leader that you support is not the leader for you. If the people of Burkina Faso were really not behind the military junta that is running their country right now, they wouldn't have given Ibrahim Traore the hero's welcome they gave him after he met with Vladimir Putin. So why is Nigeria president so worried about what's been happening in Niger, whereas his own country has many problems? And why is Nigerian president, why doesn't he want to listen? When people tell them that, guys, we are so sick and tired of these Western countries coming to Africa to exploit us. He's not worried about that. He's not worried about the fact that France, the only thing they want is the mineral resources in Niger. They don't care anything about Niger. They don't care about building infrastructure. They don't care about improving the lives of people of Niger. The only thing they want is their mineral resources. So why is the president of Nigeria like this? Why is he behaving in this manner? It is really worrying, guys. It's worrying. And as Africans, a lot of Africans, they don't understand this. A lot of people, they don't understand this. We don't.
For those of us who don't understand, it's a group of 15 African countries, West African countries. Please just put the map here so our brothers can understand. These people in Ecowas normally cooperate when it comes to economical things, but sometimes they decided to cooperate when it comes to military as well. So sanctions imposed in Niger by the 15 members of Ecowas include border closure and suspension of all financial
and with those sanctions, the Nigeria apparently they're the ones who are supplying Niger with electricity. But they've also cut that. Niger right now is struggling with power cuts because Nigeria has cut off the power on behest of the West. So Nigeria is basically depriving its neighbor of electricity on behest of France and America. You have to think about that. You have to think about that. It is crazy.
Commercial ties with the country. The Central Bank of West African states cancelled the planned 30 billion franc or $51 million bond issuance to Niger on Monday. So they were supposed to give money to Niger. They say, you know what, because you're not, playing by the rules, you're not going to get the $51 million. Like, what is $51 million compared to people's freedom? I don't know. Ecowas has also dispatched a delegation to Niger, headed by former Nigerian President Abdul Salami Abubakar, to negotiate with the soldiers who seized power. But the team left without meeting General Abdurrahman Chani, the coup leader. So ECOWAS, after putting pressure, let me just remind you, as they say they're going to come with guns and weapons, there's a country named Mali that said, you know what, we do not agree with you. Burkina Faso also say we do not agree with you. They say, if you dare come into Niger trying to cause trouble, you are declaring war against Mali and Burkina Faso. So they felt kind of cold, I believe, after these people say that. Then they decided to send a group of people into Niger to go and negotiate. But these people arriving at the airport, they could not even meet the leader of the coup because they know already. I mean, you don't just accept people like that. I mean, how do you know they didn't come to poison you or to do something crazy? So they returned with no negotiation. But in the meantime, the Nigerian president had been pushing for force. He's been gathering his force, his naval force, his terrestrial force, his air force to get ready for action. But he needed support coming from Senate, the Nigerian Senate. But I'm very happy this happened. The Nigerian Senate has refused to go to war. Congratulations. You see, you can't put everybody on the same box. Yes, even where people don't think anymore, there are people that still think properly and they think.
And I think people need to give the Nigerian Senate credit, man, for what they have done. I can't imagine if they had agreed or if Tinubu had found his way. I can't even imagine what would be happening right now in Western Africa. Just imagine if yesterday the Nigerian forces invaded Niger and they got the pushback, and guess what? Before you even know it, the neighboring states would be in a firing line. So, like, the Senate, the Nigerian Senate, they really played an important role. And they actually reminded them that this is not Nigeria's fight. This is not Nigeria's fight. Nigeria has absolutely nothing to gain from this. Nigeria has never been threatened by Niger. This is not Nigerians' fight. So why are we out there sending our kids to die on behest of America and France? Why? And apparently the whole border from Nigeria to Niger, I think it's like 7 states. If I remember correctly, like they are sharing something like 7 states within that border. So can you imagine if there are 7 states within one border? Can you imagine how many people are living there? Can you imagine the infrastructure? Can you imagine the damage that can be done there? Because Niger don't even have to go to Nigeria to attack it. If they share the border, Niger can fire from its own place. So shout out to Nigerian Senate, man, for stopping this madness, man. I don't think even Africans realize the kind of a bullet that we dodged. I don't even think the Africans recognize the role that the Nigerian Senate played, because we don't give them enough credit, guys. That's why I'm saying shout out to Nigerian Senate for actually stopping this madness. Because right now Africa would be in war with itself, whereas then the Americans and France can sit back and just come and collect the resources while Africa is busy fighting with each other. While Nigeria is busy throwing missiles with Niger, America and France will be like, okay, this is the perfect distraction, let's go and still take the mineral resources. Damn, man, guys, the Nigerian president, guys, is dangerous, guys. This has to be the most dangerous president in our lifetime, guys. The president who didn't care about setting the whole Western region on fire. He didn't care about the fact that Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Russia, Wagner Group, he didn't care about that. He just wanted to show the people that they are strong. But at what cost? At what cost?
They do not believe Nigeria should go at war against Niger because of some ego issues of some people.
I represent Abia South. Constitutional point of order, section 4A. I read, the president shall not declare a state of war between the Federation and another country except with the sanction of a resolution of both houses of the National Assembly sitting in a joint session. I believe that this is a condition precedent to section 5A. As constitutional point of order. The reason is this. We can only note what you have just said. He has not declared war. He's only informing us business to do the needful by having a robust debate on this and then advising thereafter. And therefore, this correspondence is referred to the next legislative date for proper debate by this chamber.
It makes no sense. Again, looking at Nigeria's state, still fighting against Boko Haram. They have their own issues in the country to resolve, but you want to create mayhem by going to a foreign country, to a neighboring country, and go create another problem. Doesn't make sense. Props to these senators that stood very strong against the decision of the president of Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest armed force in the region and has previously contributed the most number of troops to other regional peacekeeping missions. Several Western nations have also cut aid to Niger. So basically, this is how it happened, fellas.
For real, guys, shout out to Nigerian Senate for stopping this madness. Shout out to them, because diplomacy is supposed to be the first thing. If Nigerian president or his administration were really against this whole military junta, like, isn't diplomacy supposed to be the first thing instead of military forces? I thought that military forces were supposed to be the last. I thought that when everything else fails, that's when you call in the military. But that was not the case here, because the Nigerian president was ready. to set the whole Western region on fire. So I don't know how Nigerians feel right now, because I can tell you that if it was my president, if it was Cyril Ramaphosa planning to invade, maybe let's say Botswana or invade Namibia, I think I would have a problem with that, because I understand the ramifications of that. I mean, even the issue of immigration was gonna be a mess. Just imagine all those millions of people moving around, avoiding being killed, whereas the presidents are there sitting there safe in their mansions. They were not going to be the ones in the forefront. I mean, like, it's high time that these presidents who like wars, they need to take their children and put them on the forefront. If you want to invade in Niger so much, why don't you go out there and invade them yourself? Why do you want to send other people's kids to go out there and invade Niger? Why do you want to see young Nigerian men dying on behalf of America and on behalf of France? It makes no sense, guys. It makes no sense. Nigerian president was ready to sacrifice the lives of young Nigerian men and send them to die in Niger just because he wanted to please his Western masters. How is that still possible, guys? How is it this era that we, like in Africa, there's still a chance of Africans fighting each other on behalf of the West? Like, guys, you know, when this thing was happening, guys, I was so scared. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I was so scared about what might happen there, because if there's one thing that we really need to be sure about, I'm sure that France is not going to go out just like that. They are going to strike Niger. It's just a matter of when, but they are going to strike. But there are other chances that they might go out, because Mali and Burkina Faso have managed to kick their asses out of their countries. So right now, Niger has also given them 30 days to pack up their whole shit and leave Niger. So how is it possible, guys, like in 2023? I'm so mad. I can't even imagine, like, guys, if I was a Nigerian, guys, I would be so mad right now. Just like I'm saying, like, right now, I'm a South African. If South African president were to put us in war, I would be so mad at him. Because I understand when war is fought, these people's lives are not in danger. They can fly their children out there in Europe, whereas your kids are supposed to be the ones to face this. They are not going to send their sons in the forefront. No, they're not going to do that. They are going to send your kids to die. For what? Niger has never done nothing to Nigeria. So there was no justification for Nigeria to invade Niger. But the Nigerian president, guys, I'm so worried about Nigerian president, guys. This guy is crazy. Jeez.
Okay, for those of us who don't understand, it's very easy. Most of African countries that seem to be okay are usually ruled by some people that are puppets. Okay, they work for foreign governments. Usually they're colonized. You know, most African countries have colonized, except Ethiopia and Liberia. Most African countries, they were divided. If they speak English, their colonizers most likely Britain. If they speak French, the colonizers most likely France. If they speak Portuguese, you understand how it goes. And people are separated based on languages they have learned from colonizers, unfortunately. And most presidents work for those colonizers as long as you do what they ask you to do. And you supply them with the things they want. It's okay. You can stay there for 40 years as a president. Nobody is bothered by that. But if you start working for your people, if you start building for your people, if you use a leader that sees the interest of the people first, then you are the enemy. They don't like you. They call you all sort of names. You are illegal. You are a dictator. You are a lot of things. Same as Gaddafi. We're not going to get into that today. He was a person that worked very hard for his country. His people lived well. They paid no tax, just imagine. No tax. And almost $0 to fuel, gas, or petrol, depending on how you call it. They lived in peace, but they did everything they could to throw them down, to topple him, to destroy him. They gave him name, dictator, and all that stuff. Same as Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. He was the first president to reduce his own salary. Imagine that. An African president reducing his own salary and saying to his people from government, he said, from now, nobody's going to drive in a Mercedes or an expensive car. You all going to use small Renault, those small things. Yeah, they didn't like that. They took him away, his own people, in collaboration with Western nations. Thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
And guys, I think the only thing that I have to say is that Niger really has to guard itself. Niger has to guard itself. And shout out to Algeria for also closing their airspace, because I think Burkina Faso and Mali, they've also closed their airspace. Even Niger, they've also closed their airspace, because the president of Algeria said that France will not be allowed to use Algeria's airspace to attack Niger. So they closed down their airspace. So the best thing that Niger has to do is to stay guarded, because I don't believe that the Western powers are just going to go out just like that. I don't believe with Nigeria sharing the border with them, they are simply going to go just like that. The point is that they are going to strike. France and America, with the help of Nigeria, they are going to strike. It's just a matter of when. So guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, guys, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.